It's election season in America, but this rally in Virginia is not for any US candidate or race. Over 1 million Salvadorans live in the United States, and they're about to vote in a historic election. If you ask anyone here, there's only one candidate on their mind.
Pero el pueblo salvadoreño confiaba plenamente en el presidente Bukele. Una confianza que continúa.
But the battle for hearts and minds isn't just at the ballot box. It's on the streets, with Salvadoran lives on the line. In less than 4 years, El Salvador has gone from being the murder capital of the world to one of the safest countries in the Western Hemisphere. Many attribute this remarkable turnaround to the actions of President Nayib Bukele.
El Salvador ha cambiado enormemente. Lo que estamos viendo ahora es un renacimiento.
Wiping out the gangs that terrorize neighborhoods is the key policy that has saved so many lives. But I want to investigate, what is the cost of this newfound freedom for Salvadorans?
Todo trae su bueno y su malo.
Do you feel free?
Creería que esa es la pregunta del millón.
Exploring how a policy of sudden mass incarceration can lead to damaging results. What is it that you wanted to show me? And uncover how US citizens are being caught up. Do you feel that your government, the United States government, has failed you?
Definitivamente. Nosotros somos ciudadanos. Bukele ha secuestrado a nuestros hijos.
I'm in downtown San Salvador, and the streets are alive. People seem relaxed, even dancing. This couldn't be more different to the last time I reported from San Salvador, when I had to wear body armor to be on some streets. I reported on the trafficking of illegal weapons from America to El Salvador. Two notorious gangs were slaughtering one another. Then, something changed. The country elected Nayib Bukele, the 37-year-old head of state, moved to end the country's brutal gang war once and for all.
Nosotros los seres humanos, para llevarle paz, libertad y felicidad al pueblo salvadoreño.
Since then, Bukele has reshaped the country through aggressive policies, which have drawn criticism from global human rights groups. He rarely gives interviews, but I spoke with him as he started his first term. You chose social media. Why did you do that, and how did it help you?
So I think social media now, it's like gunpowder in politics.
With roughly 7 million followers, Bukele uses his TikTok to showcase his military-enforced peace. It's proving extremely popular. Polling shows him as the most popular president in Latin America. It's undeniable that something has changed in this country. And nowhere is this change more visible than the neighborhood of Las Cañas.
Aquí es una de las zonas más peligrosas que había. Esto no se hubiera podido hacer hace año y medio, porque ustedes no hubieran podido entrar. La colonia quedó en dos. ¿verdad? Arriba y los de abajo. Tiraban balas de arriba para abajo, de abajo para arriba. Este era un límite imaginario.
This is the dividing
Esta
line.
era la división imaginaria, todos sabíamos, pero nadie comentaba.
I mean, what this lady's gonna do next? She's just walking, bueno, from here to here. That would have been impossible. That's what you're telling me, that this just couldn't have happened at certain points in the day.
No, aquí la vida era en casa, aquí todo era encerrado.
As a community organizer, Pedro Rojas witnessed firsthand as Las Cañas was carved up by rival gangs. In 2016, I embedded with local forces in this neighborhood. On one single night, I encountered 6 murders.
Pero eso es una respuesta positiva a lo que estamos viviendo ahora. Eso es la realidad. Montar un juego de fútbol donde jóvenes de la parte alta bajen y jóvenes de la parte baja jueguen con ellos. Antes no se podía dar esto.
When was the last time that young people were just able to kick a ball around here like this?
6, 7 años. No se podía dar. Yo espero que sea un nuevo inicio, pero no sabemos. Todo trae su bueno y su malo. La situación ha cambiado a raíz de las medidas que ha tomado el gobierno central, que es el régimen de excepción. Entonces tú puedes caminar libremente ahora. Habían mañanas o noches que mirabas policías por todos los lugares, entonces iban desapareciendo poco a poco.
The raids happened in a flash. The exceptional president decreed that Congress passed laws collectively called the state of exception, giving the military, the civil national police, and the courts huge power over people's civil liberties.
Unas 300 personas se han llevado de la colonia, entre buenos y malos, ¿va? Entre buenos y malos, porque también acuérdate que el régimen no solo se lleva a la gente mala, sino que ellos hacen una redada y ahí van gente que no tiene que ver en nada.
So a community that was once terrorized by horrific gang violence is now at the mercy of law enforcement. I'm not sure if I would describe you as free.
Creería que esa es la pregunta del millón, si esto va a durar para siempre. Si tú le preguntas a la población de El Salvador cómo se siente ahora, te va a decir feliz. Y nadie quiere pandillas, nadie.
The state of exception seems to have been instrumental in bringing peace to the people of El Salvador. It works because it gives law enforcement sweeping powers quickly, so much so that they can detain whoever they see fit and suffocate the gang members' escape routes. Where once the military could not arrest citizens, they now patrol the streets of El Salvador with the police and are actively involved in arrests. Salvadorans had the right to know why they'd been detained. Now, they can be detained without knowing the reason for their arrest for up to 15 days. Anyone can be arrested and detained for being suspected of being in a gang without any further evidence. The courts are now able to try dozens, even hundreds of detainees en masse, sometimes up to 500 in one single hearing. The results are transformative. Homicide rates are at historic lows, and El Salvador has become the most incarcerated nation on earth. I want to see what the state of exception looks like. The Salvadoran military have agreed to take me on a now routine patrol in the north of the country.
de este sector?
Bueno, vamos a iniciar el patrullaje aquí en la zona de San Isidro. Respeto a los derechos humanos, siempre respeto a todo el personal civil y todos los registros como se tienen que hacer. ¿Estamos? Vamos. Incorporate vos aquí a la zona principal del parque.
So we've been separated into much smaller groups. There's 6 of us now patrolling this area. It's peaceful to an extent, I agree, completely. But the peace feels really eerie. We seem to clear a path whenever we walk through. People don't necessarily want to be on the street, so peace, yes. But does it feel a bit creepy? Yeah. The neighborhood has been through this several times before. They know that they can be searched at random and even get arrested on the spot if they're suspected of being associated with a gang.
Aquí está el documento. Gracias. ¿Está bien?
Here in the northern state of Cabañas, the only way in and out is through military checkpoints. This is all happening in peacetime. So this bus has been stopped at a checkpoint and all the men have been asked to come off with a proof of ID. Their bodies are being checked to see if there are any gang tattoos. And this is considered to be the forfeit of liberties you expect in this new safe El Salvador.
Que te vaya bien.
Gracias.
Between 2022 and 2023, over 70,000 people were arrested in El Salvador. But with fast-paced arrests and mass court hearings, is everyone arrested getting a right to defend themselves? I've heard reports that the state of exception is not only catching deadly criminals, but also innocent people. I've contacted someone who we've confirmed is an officer in the Salvadoran National Police. He claims to have evidence that shows the dark side of the state of exception. In a country with a track record of locking up government leakers, the police officer has asked me to meet him in an undisclosed location. He's here, fearing a threat to his life. For this reason, we've agreed to conceal his identity. Thank you for coming, for meeting me. What is it that you wanted to show me?
Aquí está el único documento que nosotros tenemos, que se logró guardar todavía, porque todo lo confidencializaron y todo cerraron esos.
100%, 103%, 153%. What am I looking at here?
Esas eran cuotas ordenadas por jefes policiales. Decían que teníamos que capturar cierta cantidad de personas. Esto ya sean pandilleros o lo que se podía lograr capturarlo.
Arrest quotas have been widely speculated about by the Salvadoran public, and claims of their existence have even been reported on in international press. But no physical evidence of these quotas has ever been produced for the public. Until now. According to our source, this document highlights the quotas of 5 police precincts on the day of June 6, 2022, with a target number of 175 arrests throughout the day in total. One precinct in San Salvador arrested 61 individuals throughout the day, exceeding their quota by over 50%. Can you remember the first raid that you went on where you suspect that you personally have arrested innocent people in order to make these quotas?
Se dio un caso de que detuvimos a un pandillero y en la misma cuestión real vimos a unos que estaban haciendo relajo, estaban haciendo desórdenes en la calle, unos ebrios. Aparte de los desórdenes públicos, se les aplicó el delito de asociación ilícita, que es el delito pesonero aplicable para pandilleros. Mucha gente que todavía está detenida porque han cometido estos delitos menos graves, pero les han acumulado ese delito. Entonces, yo en lo personal, frustrado, porque en el momento de la euforia del régimen, que como el presidente decía, y todos eufóricos allí a detener a Monsalvo, nunca nos imaginamos que iba a sufrir gente inocente. Con los pandilleros, por nosotros no hay ningún problema, pero con la gente inocente, pues sí se detuvo por algo por un delito que no ha cumplido la culpabilidad, porque pudo haber fallecido esta gente en un centro penal por una detención que no tenía que suceder.
The existence of arrest quotas raises another disturbing question. How might a policy of mass incarceration driven by metrics push police to arrest innocent people? Answers from within El Salvador's judicial system are hard to come by, but documents provided to us by another source within the Salvadoran government show the far-reaching effects of the state of exception. These documents detail the case of a US citizen, a 14-year-old visiting his relatives in El Salvador. He was detained under the charge of unlawful association and was incarcerated awaiting trial. During his detention, he was severely beaten by other prisoners and nearly drowned until he lost consciousness. After being treated for his injuries, he was released from custody, with the judge ruling that his detention was an illegal deprivation of his liberty. The ruling gave the minor the ability to return to the US, but didn't come soon enough to avoid the violence of El Salvador's brutal prison system. It appears that innocent people are getting wrapped up within the state of exception, but I still have no idea how deep the problem goes. I want to find answers, and in El Salvador, almost everything comes from the top. Vice President Felix Ulloa has become the de facto spokesperson for Bukele's hardline policies. Ulloa strongly defends a legal pathway allowing Bukele to seek a second term for presidency, despite the country's constitution prohibiting it. How is the administration making sure that innocent people are not being caught up in this system of mass incarceration?
For those who are captured and they are innocent, which is declared by the judge, it's not the government. So far, just today, we have released more than 6,000 persons that were captured under this state of exception, and they prove to the judge that they were not members of the gangs, that they were in the wrong place at the wrong time, and then get released.
6,000 mistakes is a very high number.
Less than 10% of mistake and more than 90% of things right, well done. So you have to continue. To avoid the mistake, you have to take care first to be aware about you commit the mistakes.
Do you accept that you've made
absolutely.
mistakes?
Yes,
you
absolutely.
Accept?
Yes, absolutely. There are mistakes. And there are more than 15 or 16 policemen that have been prosecuted because they act in an arbitrary way or abusing their uniform. Remember, we are humans and no human activity is perfect. That we also said, the perfect is enemy of the good. I mean, we are doing something really good. So we have to continue doing the really good and try to avoid the mistake.
Is it worth the sacrifice of those innocent people?
What are those innocent people? I am telling you, the innocent people have been released. They are back at the places. They are working again.
Despite what Vice President Ulloa says, human rights groups in El Salvador estimate 14,000 individuals without any connection to gangs might still be imprisoned. The impacts of these mass arrests ripple through families not only in El Salvador, but also in the country with the second most Salvadorans, the United States. In both countries, we reached out to many of these families. Most chose not to speak out of fear of retaliation by the Salvadoran government. But one group has dedicated itself to raising the alarm. Consuelo Gomez, a US citizen, is the leader of MOVER, the movement of the victims of the state of exception. Consuelo's 2 sons were both arrested in El Salvador and impacted by the state of exception. She has little detail as to where they are or what crimes they are accused of.
Consuelo, hi.
Hi.
Thank you for meeting with me. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Can I sit?
Es algo duro para mí. Yo lloro todas las noches. Muy duro. Yo sueño con ellos que están pasando hambre, que están pasando frío, que los pueden ver golpeados. Solo saber que no los podemos abrazar, no podemos verlos, no sabemos si están vivos, no sabemos nada. Eso para una madre es un dolor horrible. Y eso es lo que no le perdonamos a este Bukele, porque Bukele ha secuestrado a nuestros hijos.
Are your sons in gangs? Have they ever been affiliated in gangs?
La respuesta es un big no. No, no, no. Y él mismo estaba de acuerdo. Ellos incluso votaron por Bukele, porque venía el cambio, que el cambio. Ellos mismos votaron. Pero mis hijos, definitivamente, ninguno de ellos pertenece a una pandilla. Eso es lo que queremos saber los padres que tenemos hijos detenidos inocentes. Esa es la lucha que tenemos. Luchamos pidiéndole que nos den pruebas. ¿Dónde están las pruebas? O me lo liberan ahora.
Do you feel that your government, the United States government, has failed you and is on the wrong side of this issue?
Definitivamente. Nosotros somos ciudadanos. Él no se ha pronunciado a favor de nosotros, de nuestros seres amados, nuestros seres queridos que están ahí adentro, pero definitivamente el gobierno de Estados Unidos no nos está apoyando.
In 2023, US officials, including Secretary of State Antony Blinken, have met with Salvadoran diplomats and publicly applauded the country's commitment to human rights. But when we asked the State Department if they were aware of US citizens that have been arrested with little or no due process in El Salvador, they provided the following response. We are aware of US citizens detained in El Salvador. The state of exception must be an exception. But the state of exception is proving to be the rule in El Salvador, and its popularity is spreading. Neighboring governments in Honduras, Guatemala, and the Dominican Republic are all exploring their own forms of it. This new chapter in the age-old struggle between national security and personal freedom might have started in El Salvador, but its impact is being felt across the region and the world.